Hello, I'm just ready to get started. So thanks for joining. I'm really looking forward to the session to share a little about some of the things that we have been doing. Uh, and obviously the coffee machine needs to be starting right now. So let me just get started. So if you've joined and you can see the video, please just join. So you get here. We are. Please stay. This manage event. Okay, so this is first time to try this. Let's see here how to use the LinkedIn Live feature also. So now it is there. You should be able to see it. So I hope you can see it and have joined. It should be good. So hopefully you can see, and it sounds like you can hear me also. I guess it's always a little fun to try to do something a new way. But yeah, if you're here, welcome. Thanks for joining. Let me know how, if where you're from, what's going on. Hello, Sage Summit. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you taking the time to join here. But yes, so I wanted to share a little about some of the different things that we have been working on over the last period of time. Let me just one thing more before we get started. Yes, so one of the big thing is that's going on is so let's see if this one already has some messages. Okay, no. Okay, cool. Hello, LinkedIn user. Thanks for joining. Good. Let me share. So I have a few things and that I would like to share today. One of them is our ability to create. So let me just first share the real screen. So this is my screen. Hopefully you can see it now, and it is going okay. Hi. So you can see my screen. Hopefully, it should looks good. So one of the things that is going on is we want to be able to understand what has been changed with our landscapes and what's going on with it. So one of the things we have added for a long time is the ability to have version control of your CPI landscape. So you can actually see all the objects that, so the URL here. A lot of things that's going on here. Yes, so yeah, you can see the screen. We have version control of all the objects. That means we have for some time been able to, no matter which object you have, go in and say compare. You can obviously use the normal BPM model. But I don't know about you, but this is a little difficult reading and understanding what has been changing. Then one of the things I created was the simplified BPM model, where I was trying to check some of the data that we're having, extract them, and then I'm able to see what specifically was changed in an instance. Sorry. So we can see specifically which, and that here was added a new element to it. Some of the documents here were changed. One of the things that we're just adding now and is a visual comparison. That means you're able to visually see what is different between two different CCBPM, sorry. I'm way too old. Hi, Amit, glad you could join. Bpmn model views, and here we can see that was actually added a new element here. We can either browse it from here, see what was, so there's a change sequence. We can see that this one was changed the content of it, and then we would need to refer back to the old one to see what was actually going on in this case. And one of the things we probably will add here is also the ability to view the full trace information, as you saw before, in each of these elements. So it becomes a little easier to see. I think you can maximize the screen by clicking the maximize screen button nowhere where you're seeing it. So the idea here is to make it a lot easier for users to actually see what is going on with different versions and BPM versions. So users are able to see the changes there. So let's see what actually I'm seeing in the LinkedIn. So that's one of the things we have been adding, and really looking forward to this one, because I think it makes it a lot easier to do versioning of objects. And I don't know if you noticed the agent names and stuff like that. We now use Cloud Foundry, and I'm pretty stoked about using being able to support the Cloud Foundry, because it seems like, well, it is where customers are going, or SAP is positioning and moving people to start using. And obviously that will have a huge impact on what's going on in your CPI landscape, because you'll be using Cloud Foundry. And one of the things you need to do is obviously you need to migrate and figure out how you can run these things, there. So we added Cloud Foundry support. We still, there's a few gaps. One we just noticed today was the trace API seems to be changing, or is not working fully as we expected. The system monitoring, so the APIs we were using for that one is not supported there either. But other than that, all the functionality is working within this CCP or in the Cloud Foundry, so you're able to support the full development process, which is pretty cool. So you can do migration from Neo to Cloud Foundry with the tool, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So another cool thing is it is able to use the trial environment, so you can actually test the Figaf systems even when you're using the CPI trial landscape. So one question, are you moving to Cloud Foundry? What's your timeline for Cloud Foundry? Obviously we'd like to hear a little more about what's going on in that perspective. So let's see, where is the news? We do support the trial environment. We obviously also support the real environment. And there's a few configuration settings that you need to do when selecting these things. So it obviously is something that's the wrong one. You need to figure out how to handle and set it up. But once you're up and running, it is pretty good. So one thing we have is, we have the option here. We can take our object. Let's see if we did create a test suite. So one thing we did notice, so obviously the trace capability took a little longer time to fetch data there, or to set it into trace mode. And for some reason that was not working just when we're testing it today. Now I've created a test case, and if you have seen the Figaf tool earlier, you would also have seen what we are able to do with that perspective. So let's do the normal transport process that we have, and the way we are doing this. If any questions, just put them into the chat. Then we should be able to cover those. Glad you could join. So the idea is that you would select an iflow here. you will then create a ticket, so we know we have done some changes to it. So we are doing it on a live. It's obviously much more fun. We have our Cloud Foundry productive landscape. We have it connected to a Jira number because we are not doing anything without. Thank you, John. So here we have the landscape, and we can add a ticket. We can obviously add the Jira URL also and description of why we're doing these things. We need to request a license, which is all good. And we are now ready to create the ticket. So we have created a ticket. We can see which object is a part of this. And the idea is that you later will be able to see all these things. So we can obviously look up what kind of test cases we have created here. And we can also run them. Let me just check here if we did manage to change this and it is still in trace mode. This is obviously one of the things we just want to make sure works. So we can specify which system to run it on. We'll just do it on our normal development system. And now it will run these things. And a small feature we also added, which makes this a little easier, is that it actually starts. So once it sends the messages, it will start polling and fetching all the data without you having to deal with this process. And that simplifies the processing. So yeah, one of the things we did see here was it took like 2 minutes to pull the messages compared to I think it was like 15 seconds we did it on our Neo environment. So maybe this is something to do with we using a partner profile for this, or maybe something else. That's definitely something I need to dig into if the APIs are just slow or what's going on here. So this will run for some time. So you can see the payloads of all these things in here. So if you view the results, once this has been done, you have the ability to here see differences. You can also view the inbound message results if it's there. So it will open here in a pop-up. But maybe we'll see that once it has processed. One of the other key features that we have is virtual landscapes. And so for now, we just have one real CPI landscape. And one of the things we want to do is we want to transport this. And the CPI suite is a little more expensive than the normal CPI Neo license, where you can get it just for a fraction of the cost. There's obviously some changes in it and what you can do there. But what we wanted to do is we're actually reusing the same tenant for both QA and for both development and QA. So yeah, so we can do here. We have also an option before you can import to specify that something needs to be done. And I can see I did make a mistake in it. So I had not transported this yet. So we will need to roll it back to development. And we will just need to say here, attach all dependent objects. That means we will get all the objects that's a part of this. We can restart our transport. And that means we got a new transport going on here. And one of the cool thing also is we have the option here to actually specify what values this iflow would have in the different landscapes. So we can specify the API key should be something different for each landscape. And as we notice, again, this is our virtual one. We will also just change the password. And the idea is also you change URL, ports, hosts, and everything like that in this screen. And it should now come with a warning saying, hey, this password is not really on that agent. So please make sure you fix it before I go. So now we can import it. And target package was not found. Let me try again. Oh well. I guess we have some little work to do here. Normally this works out pretty well, and what you will then see is you will see it as a new package with prefixes and all these kind of things. So I think that is. But as any the package was in the transport. But I guess we'll need to to check out what was actually going on here. So this should obviously have been transported, and it did it just before. I haven't selected the package, so I'm getting. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's obviously some, one of the things we need to do is test it a little more on our landscape and figure out what's going on. But for all the challenges we've seen before, it seems to be working pretty well. So if we go back to the test case with the arrows, so the testing result is here, hopefully now. Oh, the last result. So we can see there was some new results here. We can see what was the differences that we are getting between the in and output payloads, diffs, and this is, we can see all the changes that were happening. We have simple ignoring of properties, and if there was payloads, we also had an extra option to add XPath or whatever you call it in a Cloud Foundry or a JSON environment. So it has all the edifactor12 comparison options also. Obviously this would not be really completed without also the Git support. So one of the thing we have is we have a Git plugin, and let me just move this one over to the. So all the data that you have in your CPI system is replicated to the Figaf tool. Then we replicate it into a Git repository, and from that Git repository, you can then see all the payloads that you have, all the data that's going on in that landscape, and you can go in, you can edit scripts. If you have test cases, you can take these, create runnable artifacts of all of these options. So, and then we have updated our Git plugin. So that means you can actually, from here, go directly interact with the CPI tenant without having to go in and do anything different. So that makes it a lot easier to develop Git or develop Groovy iflows and stuff like that, XSLTs, all these kind of resources that can be a little difficult managing inside of a BPM editor. And instead of having copy paste these things, this makes it a lot easier to run all the iflows. So this comes pre-delivered with all the configuration you need to do. I think the only thing is you need to add the SAP libraries into this folder. And then it comes with some templates. So you can see here we have the template. You need to copy this one and put it into the standard one. And then it is able to set up settings. And I think if we look at the new setting here, we have added a platform type that is Cloud Foundry, and then it will use your user as the Cloud Foundry user. So this Gradle plugin is also open source. You can get it and use it. I do recommend you get it via the Figaf tool, because that will make some of these things a lot easier. Yeah, I think that was a lot of the things I wanted to share in this session. Let me know if there's any questions or comments that I can answer. Obviously, we still need to go through some of the QA on this, and the more times we try it, the more we'll see. If you want to try it out on your system, see how it goes. If you have Cloud Foundry, then do let me know. We can set up a session. We'd like to see if the performance is different on our partner tenant than on a real tenant. I really do hope that. Otherwise, we probably need to find a way to make it easier to run these tests so it does not take 2 minutes to fetch 35 messages. But other than that, it is pretty simple to configure, set up, run with these things. Yes. Any questions? Just put them into the chat. So let me see. Did anything I missed answering? But yeah, thanks for joining. Hope, well, as sometimes when you do something live and experimenting a little on the edge cases of what's going on, then there's always some challenges, and we saw that today. Hopefully, once we have done the QA, we'll see a little more of these differences and challenges that is going on in this case. So hopefully, then it will be easier to fix what is going on and make sure everything works successfully. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I'll just stay on a little longer. If you have any questions, just put them into the chat, and then I'll try to answer them as good as possible. I might just put your questions in. We'll try to answer those. And then hopefully sometime next week, we will be able to release this feature if we've figured out what was wrong in these two cases, why it wasn't working as we expected to. Let me see here how I scroll in this stuff. So what's this? Is a bit strange. Oh well. I don't know what's going on. Oh, cool. Yeah, and I think once we release it, we will also update the guides. Obviously, it makes sense that you can take the Cloud Foundry, test it out, use the Figaf tool, because editing and managing your development in the Figaf tool makes it a lot easier. So there's obviously going to be some updates to that kind of process, so we can fix those things. Any questions, just put them into the chat. Then I'll try to cover those things. And let's see. Thanks. And thanks for joining. Hope you have a good weekend once you get that far. And yeah, just wanted to say thanks.